All righty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to another edition in our webinar series. I am your host, Stefan, and today I am joined by my co-host, Dwayne.
Morning, Stefan.
Hey, and today, ladies and gents, we will be talking about building a community of loyal customers by moving your restaurant online. So we're going to look and talk about the new normal. I'm sure you're wondering what that is. We'll look into that. We're going to talk about the benefits of adding virtualization to your restaurant business. And we'll also talk about what's next. What is next for the restaurant industry? After that, we'll have a gift card drawing for the Amazon gift card. This whole webinar should take us about 10 to 15 minutes. And of course, if you do have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box or in the Q&A box, and we will go over questions at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the pandemic, if you live in America or anywhere in the world right now, you know exactly what's going on. The pandemic. And the pandemic protocol has been that we cannot dine in anymore. We can't have large gatherings. And that has affected a lot of businesses. You've seen it firsthand. And it has affected restaurants as well, to a greater degree or a lesser degree than other industries, but nevertheless, restaurants have been greatly affected by the pandemic protocol, the stay-at-home orders, and such. So right now, this is what we're living. However, we do have to recognize and know that this is not just temporary. It's the new normal. It's the way things are, and it's forcing and changing a lot of trends. Well, what are the effects of this quote unquote pandemic protocol on restaurants? Well, we have less traffic or no traffic, depending on how the restaurant is able to cope. And this has caused a severe decline in sales. The dining experience has been eliminated or limited, as I was saying earlier. And that has caused a lot of closings, permanent closings in droves. A lot of restaurants are closing because of COVID-19, and they haven't been able to open up or find a solution. And this also has a domino effect. It's not just the restaurant industry being affected. It's not just restaurants individually being affected, but there's a huge percent of the workforce that is affected. So the waiters, the waitresses, the bartenders, your servers, your chefs have been affected by this situation. But also food-related industries are having issues as well, like farms and the distribution portion of it, the transportation, production. There are some farmers and some places that have gotten rid of a lot of eggs and milk because there's been less demand for it. And with less demand, they don't have a way of selling them. And you know those things, a lot of them have an expiration date on them. So they've had to get rid of millions of pounds of a lot of these products. Well, what's the solution, you might be asking? Well, the solution is very simple to say, and also simple and easy to implement. It's really to move online. Yeah, move your restaurant online. And when I say moving online, we're not just talking about putting your website and have a web presence that way, but we're really talking about adding this virtualization component to your business processes, to your restaurant processes. And you know, adding virtualization, this really speaks to improving processes that you're currently using with cloud technology. It's leveraging that technology to beat the current climate. And this is really an inevitable progression. Like I was saying, this is the climate that we're living in right now is the new normal. So inevitably, restaurants are going to move in this direction. They are moving in this direction, and this is where the this is how new things are becoming normal now because of it. And it's about conquering local. So reviews, listings, social media as well. You really have to get that mindset that adding virtual realization is about making the best of the situation, but also thriving in the situation and onward. So the real foundation of moving your restaurant processes online is having an online ordering system. That is the first step, of course. That's the basic, having the ability to have your customers order their food online directly so that they can come and pick it up to go on curbside or carry out. But really the ultimate goal is really to easily use the tools that you have at your disposal to keep thriving while enhancing the customer experience. All right. And another benefits, of adding virtual realizations, the most important one, at least in my opinion, is the competitive edge that you get from adding virtual realization in your restaurants. Really, it's an issue between the local restaurants and the large national chain. You see, the local restaurants might be thinking that, okay, the large national chain has a big advantage because they have more resources. They can allocate it to, expanding technologically, that is, having more access to customers, that kind of thing. Well, that's really a misconception that has to be taken away from our minds, is because these tools and adding virtualization really to your restaurant is really easy to implement. The misconception here is that you need a large IT team. That's not the case. It's really not. You only need the idea. You only need to know what it is you're trying to accomplish. And lo and behold, we are here. There are companies out there. We are here to be able to make those dreams come true, to make things happen for your restaurant so that you are able to compete in that space. As well, another benefit of adding virtual realization is the exposure that you get, the increased reach that you have, because you have now access to those people who didn't know you yet, who don't know you yet. So people who have not heard of you now have access to you because, well, let's say that someone wants to eat, let's say, butter chicken or fried plantains. Well, they're going to type into Google fried plantains, and they'll be able to find your plantain restaurants via the Google search. So that would allow them to find you. You'll be able to have a greater reach and access to people who have not heard of you previously. Even people who are just traveling by your town or passing by your area, they will type in on their phone, food, such and such item near me, and they'll be able to find you just because they're in that vicinity. They would not have heard of you otherwise. So you get that increased exposure, that increased reach. And a third benefit of adding virtual realization is the increased brand awareness that you get to enjoy, that you get to benefit from. With your website, Your client base, your customers, your potential clients are going to be able to recognize you from your website. And the same happens if you have a mobile app that they have to download and order food from. One thing that has to be said about brand awareness is that a little bit of it is lost if you do use third-party ordering services. Not to say that you should not use third-party services, but that you should be aware that there's a little bit of that aspect and there. As a matter of fact, we do recommend you to use third-party ordering services, but you should just be aware of that as well. As another benefit of adding virtualization to your restaurants and your processes is the accuracy of the orders. You get more accurate orders. You know, there are less mistakes made when somebody orders their food online and their meal online than the word to be made if a person in the restaurant were to write down the order, because the person gets to choose, gets to pick, gets to select the items instead of having to relate verbally. And also, there's less human resources that needs to be allocated for just one order. An employee's time does not need to be tied up as much for one order only in particular. That saves up on the resources that you have from your employees, from the people. As well, it allows you for simultaneously receiving orders all at once instead of having to wait to have your clients, your customers wait on the phone while you're taking one order. They can put in their orders at the same time.
Yeah, that definitely extends
Well,
your staff's capabilities, Stefan.
I'm sorry.
I said it definitely extends your staff's capabilities.
Absolutely, absolutely does. And that's very, very critical. It extends your staff's capabilities. Yes, you can do a lot more with a lot less people.
Right.
And as another benefit here as well is that you get to save on those food order tickets, on the guest tickets. You know, not only do you get to save, you potentially are able to eliminate the cost of guest tickets completely as well, because there's no need for them. And if there is, it's not going to be as much as before, as prior to using the system. Another benefit of adding virtualization, and especially of putting your menu online, is that you get the benefit of sales increase. You get increased sales. You know, on average, an order that is placed online is larger in amounts than an order that is placed on the premises or over the phone. Statistics show us that on average, people order more when they order online. So it's a very, very, it would behoove you to really consider that and implement that so that you can benefit from just the increase of sales itself. You also get customer feedback, and the type of feedback that you will get from your customers is very, very beneficial, because you get to get reviews, number one. And that's just the basics. You know, you get the reviews from the people who have dined in, people who have eaten your food, and they get to put their experience online. But you can also get feedback from the analytics that you receive from having your menu online. You can see what the trends are for your specific restaurant. For instance, maybe on Tuesdays, you sell a lot more beef briskets than you do on Fridays. Maybe Fridays is the day for fish. So you get to see what really the numbers are in the real world. You'll be able to receive real world data. And from that data, you can build promotions based on that data. You can tell yourself, well, Tuesdays you sell a lot more of such. Why don't we build a promotion around that? And that's very, very beneficial, very useful. Another benefit of adding virtualization is the menu customization aspect of it. You see, before, if you needed to make a change on your menu, you would have to have it printed on plenty of menus, and that the whole process is a long process, can be a long process, a week or so. However, with menu customization and virtualization and having a menu online, you can change the menu items instantly. You make one change and it changes everywhere the menu is accessible. And this is something that we can do for you, or you can do yourself. You can also add upsells within your menu orders. So if somebody has ordered a certain items or certain meal, before they review their order, you can suggest them online or on the website, hey, this mashed potatoes that you orders goes great with a vanilla ice cream dessert or something. If the person doesn't even have the suggestion, they wouldn't even know to purchase that additional ice cream dessert, and that's revenue loss. However, if they just presented with the option, well, there you go. That's an upsell for you right there. That's an opportunity to make more money. And we also have the self-updating menu as a benefit of menu customization. Let's dive a little deeper into the self-updating menu. So the self-updating menu is this idea that the menu is dynamic and that you can remove food items here and there automatically. It can be updated depending on the situation in the kitchen, or depending on whether or not you are running out of stock of certain ingredients to make the food item. So this is very, very useful because you get to avoid that uncomfortability, if that's a word, if I should say. But for instance, when your customers are in the restaurants and they order certain items or certain food, certain meal, there is nothing worse for a customer who is expecting to get a meal, but we have to tell them, hey, listen, we don't have that, or we can't cook it. Well, it's frustrating because the thing is on the menu and you want that food item. However, with a dynamic menu, as soon as you're out of stock or as soon as the situation in the kitchen changes and you can't cook that item, it's automatically removed. So from the get-go, the expectation is set for your customer that that food item is not available. You get also to
It's
save.
even worse for customers if they're ordering carry out and they just drove 15-20 minutes to your place to pick up and didn't realize it until they got there that the item they ordered was out of stock.
There you go. That's even worse, as you say, because not only you have involved your time and effort and gas to go to the place and get there, just to have the situation when all of that can be avoided if the menu updates itself. Now, we also get to save on printing costs with a self-updating menu. Think about this. We said earlier that if you make a change on the menu, it needs to go through various processes of obtaining new menus for the whole place. Well, with an updated menu, you don't need to spend much money on printing costs because you can have a disposable menu. This is an idea we've been talking about. You can have a disposable menu, but even that has less printing costs than a full-blown menu that you would need to have to replace throughout the whole restaurant. So there's definitely that portion there that is very, very, very helpful. And also, restaurants have a very big need for a dynamic menu, because something like a soup du jour or a catch of the day or the day's specials, those are daily changes that are happening to your menu. Well, with a self-updating menu, you don't need to bother yourself too much with how these daily items will be highlighted, because you can have them right there on your menu, and the changes are not only instantaneous, but they pretty much require almost I should say no effort. And you also get to try different food items. You know, you are able now to keep popular food items. You know, you can see, okay, Monday I put such and such item on the menu. It did well, so let's keep it from Tuesday. Let's see if it does well on Tuesday as well. And you can see what items, what food items are popular and which ones you can keep, which ones do not deserve to stay on the menu, that sort of thing. And you can play around with the pricing. You know, pricing really changes a lot, seems a lot of times based on ingredient costs. And if an ingredient changes prices, well, you can reflect that with your food item instead of having to wait a week before that is reflected on your menu. And as well, we have seasonal items too, and those can change. Those can be put on the menu as it's changing, as the season is coming, without needing to um, involve any more costs on paper and that kind of thing. All right. So the next level, what does the next the reiteration of the restaurant business look like? You know, what I like to call restaurant 3.0. What does it really look like? Well, really, for the restaurant owner, it's really about the ease of use and the implementation of all these various tools to have this new reiteration. You know, these changes and these technological tools that we can integrate with what you're already doing is really easy to do. And it's not only easy to do, but it's easy to use and easy to implement. It's designed to seamlessly go with the flow of what you are already doing while improving your processes, improving what you are doing, and giving you capabilities and abilities that you did not have previously. And
Yeah.
also, it really helps you to save on costs. We talked about printing costs earlier, you know, guest tickets. You know, it really helps to save on costs. And it helps to, it not only helps, but it enhances the customer experience. You know, you have now the ability to have the menu on demand. So for instance, you can have a QR code set on the table or at the door of your restaurant. And your customer, your potential customer, can come in, scan the code, and bam, the menu pops up onto their phone. So that eases, that enhances their experience. It makes it much easier for them. You can also have loyalty programs, rewards programs for your customers, online tours and tastings. All these things can be done and will enhance the experience of your customers. But really, the overarching thing here that needs to be understood with the new iteration of restaurants and the restaurant business is that it's not just about the one order anymore. It's not simply transactional. It goes beyond being transactional. You know, the virtualization helps you with brand. You know, it helps you develop an online presence. You can build loyalty this way. You can offer discounts, or you can have the recent order of your customers saved so that the next time they need to order from you, they can order faster, have a faster service. You know, it's the small little things like that. You know, you can also sell t-shirts that relate to the order or to the restaurants, to your super fans. You know, with Restaurant 3.0, you can have memberships. You know, people can have access to tasting new dishes early for you and review them. So there's so many benefits of taking your restaurant to the next level. And even on a technological level, you can have your clients call in and have Zoom video calls or regular video calls with your host, asking them, hey, is the place full today? Can I see? Is the place completely busy? Are we at capacity with the 6 feet social distancing rule? You know, those kinds of things. All right. So next, we are going to look into, well, sorry, we've looked into the pandemic protocol and the new normal, how things are right now and how things are going to be, and what the solution to adapting to this environment, to adapting to the climate right now is. We looked at the various benefits of adding virtualization to your restaurants, and we talked about the next level.